Pam Bondi didn't walk into that hearing expecting the room to freeze. But the moment she refused to answer the very first ethics question, everything shifted. You could almost feel the air tighten. Because when the nation's top legal authority won't give a straight yes or no on something as basic as an ethics disclosure, people don't just get curious, they get concerned. And what happened next didn't just expose tension. It exposed a pattern she seemed desperate not to talk about. She faced one question, so simple it should have taken 2 seconds. Had she ever been registered as a foreign agent under federal law? Instead of answering,
The three hallmarks of this administration are incompetence, corruption, and cruelty. I'm going to focus today on corruption. And in my mind, there are two types of corruption: personal, and then the other I'm going to call public, governmental. Attorney General, have you ever been registered as an agent of a foreign principal under the Foreign Agents Registration Act?
I assume you're talking about when I represented the country of Qatar for a very short time.
The answer is yes. No,
hold
excuse
on.
me.
No,
No.
for anti-human trafficking for the World Cup. Anti-human trafficking
or
for the
no?
World Cup.
Attorney
you can't
General,
put words in my mouth.
No.
You want to talk about incompetence? You're the one that
Excuse
said
me.
Joe Biden on PBS was competent. You had to retract those words. So
Mr.
don't
Chairman,
talk to me. Don't insult me publicly.
this is so discourteous. This is so outside the committee's guidelines. Taking a personal shot at me while swiping at Biden, very strange and very unprofessional of you. The answer is yes or no, and the answer is yes. You were registered as a lobbyist for Qatar. Is that correct? Yes. Never mind, don't answer. Did you disclose that when you went before for the Senate for confirmation? Yes or no? No, it was not in your documents. The answer is no. President Trump,
This was discussed at my confirmation hearings in detail.
it was discussed, but you failed to bring up the conflict that you had. President Trump recently announced he'd accept that $400 million Qatar airplane because it was just prettier than the one he was flying around in. Is it true that you gave advice that this was legally permissible? Yes or no?
I will not discuss any advice that my Office of Legal Counsel gives to the President of the United States on any matter.
When you spoke before the Senate, you said you would ask for ethical advice. Did you recuse yourself from that issue?
And talking about unprofessional, you say the President wanted a jet because it's pretty?
Excuse
Come
me.
on, this is a Senate, this is
He
a
said it
congressional
himself.
hearing.
He said it himself. Let me go to April the 2nd. You're a part of this, the president has dabbled in meme coin. He had the DOJ, disband the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team. His son recently launched the Executive Branch Club, a private club with $500,000 memberships here in D.C. Any of this seem like it might be a problem, might be profiteering from the office, and maybe you and your ethics team might be concerned about these conflicts of interest, your own and the president and his family? Yes or no? Any concerns?
What I would be concerned about in Pennsylvania are all the child sex cases that we've prosecuted, all the CSAM cases that we've prosecuted.
Did you hear
in
my question?
Pennsylvania.
I
That's
asked
what
the
I would
witness
be
to
concerned
actually
about.
answer questions that are asked.
Congresswoman Dean.
Chairman,
Please let the witness answer the question.
she didn't. And I would like to ask you one more question. You're not just complicit in this, you're actively helping and profiting. Isn't it true that on April the 2nd, the same day that Trump announced his chaotic tariff regime that plummeted the stock market, you sold more than $1 million worth of your shares in Trump Media stock? Trump Media stock fell 13% in the following days. Seems you avoided that loss. Well done. I yield back.
May I answer that, Chairman? I complied with my ethics, and yeah, I would take a class in financial literacy if you think I profited from that, because I lost a tremendous amount of money. Congresswoman, and also on page 25 of my SJ2, it lists my involvement with Qatar for anti-human trafficking for the World Cup. Thank you.
She tried rerouting the conversation, softening the context, narrowing the details, framing it like a tiny, unimportant footnote. But viewers caught something else entirely: hesitation. And hesitation at that level sparked suspicion. Only after being pressed hard did she finally admit it. Yes, she had been registered. And in that moment, the hearing took a turn that she probably did not expect, because the real shock wasn't the admission. It was what came immediately after. She was asked whether she had disclosed that registration during her confirmation process, another straightforward question. And again, silence, sidestepping, discomfort, until the truth cut through the room like a wire. No, she hadn't disclosed it. That's not a clerical oversight. That's the kind of gap that shakes confidence in the very institution she represents. When top officials leave out foreign ties, intentionally or not, it's not just a missing page. It's a missing layer of trust. And viewers watching this exchange couldn't help wondering, what else wasn't disclosed? Bondi pushed back, saying the topic came up during hearings. But the issue wasn't whether it was mentioned later. It was whether she proactively disclosed it when required. Those disclosure forms are not optional. They are the first line of defense against conflicts that can distort decision-making at the highest levels. Avoiding that line on paperwork isn't just a technicality. It's the kind of omission that makes the public lean forward and ask, why leave it out? And just when the exchange seemed heated enough, the questioning moved somewhere even more sensitive. It shifted to a deal involving a luxury aircraft, a massively expensive Qatar-owned plane that had been offered to the president. Dean asked Bondi if she had played any role in giving it legal approval. This was another moment where transparency would have mattered. Instead, Bondi shut it down instantly. No answer, no acknowledgement, nothing. But evasions only spark more questions. If the advice was clean and proper, why not simply confirm that? Why avoid a question that could have been cleared up in seconds? Some observers say her past association with Qatar may have complicated her ability to answer freely. Others claim it's nothing more than routine confidentiality. But the effect was the same: silence where clarity could have settled everything. And that silence made the room lean in even further. Then came the crypto questions. At first glance, that detour may have seemed unrelated until it wasn't. The DOJ disbanded a major crypto enforcement team, the very unit responsible for tackling some of the most complex financial crimes. Combine that with the president publicly dabbling in memecoins, plus his son launching an exclusive, high-cost membership club, and suddenly the optics change. It becomes less about crypto and more about consistency. If you're enforcing ethics for the nation, you must show ethics in every decision, especially those connected to money and influence. Dean pushed this exact point. Were there concerns about profiteering, conflicts, or blurred lines between public decisions and private interests? Bondi dodged again, pivoting to unrelated talking points. And viewers saw the shift instantly. When someone is eager to talk until the topic gets too close to their own decisions, you don't need commentary. People notice the pattern themselves. But all of that was just build-up for the moment that stunned everyone watching. The timing question, the stock question, the April 2nd question. Dean laid out a timeline that, on paper, looked almost too precise. On the very same day that the administration announced a chaotic tariff policy that sent markets tumbling, Bondi reportedly sold more than $1 million worth of stock in Trump media. That stock dropped significantly in the days after. The implication wasn't stated outright, but the timing raised eyebrows. Was it coincidence? Was it informed judgment? Or was it something else entirely? Bondi insisted she took a loss, not a gain. And that may be true. But the core issue wasn't about numbers. It was about optics. When huge stock moves from top officials perfectly align with large policy shifts, people talk, people question, people speculate. And speculation, once unleashed, is almost impossible to reel back in. Rumors online suggest that some ethics officials were already uneasy about the blurred boundaries between Bondi's financial decisions and her advisory role. Others argue she followed all procedures correctly. But one thing is undeniable. In the public eye, perception is power. And perception in this case was not on her side. The hearing continued, but the tone never recovered. Questions became sharper. Answers became shorter. And by the time Bondi offered her final defense, that she followed ethics guidance, that she actually lost money, that her Qatar work was mentioned somewhere deeper in the documents, the damage was already done. Because the hearing had revealed something bigger than one disclosure issue or one stock trade. It exposed how fragile public trust becomes when top officials avoid clarity instead of offering it. This exchange wasn't about one conflict of interest. It wasn't about one missing form. It wasn't even about one foreign registration. It was about a pattern of hesitation at the exact moments when absolute transparency should be effortless. And the public sees that. They feel it. They understand exactly what it signals. When officials refuse to discuss their advice to the president, when they pivot away from financial questions, when they soften foreign ties in ways that don't match the seriousness of federal registration laws, it creates a picture that no amount of defensive testimony can erase. A picture where private dealings sit too close to public responsibilities. A picture where conflicts don't have to be proven. They only have to be possible to damage confidence. And the truth is, even if everything Bondi did was legally compliant, the perception gap still matters. Because trust isn't built on what's technically allowed. It's built on what's openly explained. That's why this hearing hit so hard. It wasn't shouting, it wasn't chaos, it wasn't theatrics. It was something much more unsettling. Unanswered questions sitting in plain sight. And when those questions touch foreign agents, legal advice, crypto decisions, private clubs, and perfectly timed financial moves, viewers don't forget, oh, here's the question left hanging in the air long after the microphones went silent. Did Bondi simply misunderstand the expectations of transparency, or did she understand them perfectly and choose not to meet them? In government, the difference between those two possibilities is everything. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to hit like, subscribe for more deep dive analysis, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the disclosure rules are strong enough? Or did this hearing expose a gap that needs to be fixed before it's too late?